What's up everyone, Redfox here from Drunken Gamers, and we're a little bit late on the brutality that is trying to review Mortal Kombat 11. NetherRealm Studios' latest return to their signature franchise, which is going to wrap up the end of the Mortal Kombat 9 soft reboot that we've seen back in, I believe it was 2009 or 8, I may be mistaken. Or is it wrapping it up? I won't spoil that part. The story was actually pretty decent, but let's jump up into this review. So first of all, let's start off with the story. The story involved a bunch of time travel. You kind of get to see the climax of what happens after Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I'm kind of winging this one, so bear with me here. I believe it was Armageddon was the one where they fought for the talisman on top of the pyramid, was the ending sequence and the beginning sequence of it. Then you got 9 where Raiden was seeing fragments of the past, and it reset, showed the events of like the original tournament. It's kind of new and updated. Then we had Mortal Kombat 10, which, if I'm being honest, I don't remember too much of. I know the story was pretty cool. You got Cassie Cage became one of the main characters, and then, you know, you had to murder the living shit out of Shinnok. But 11, from what I've played so far, I'm at the end of the game. I absolutely love it. They kind of ruined a few characters. My man Kotal Khan kind of became a straight bitch during the events of it, but let's not ruin the story. I'll just say, as far as story goes, I think it passes. It's pretty good. It's decent enough. Beautiful cinematics though, and that is one thing that I will give this game. Graphically, it's an awesome looking game. Definitely fixed up a bit of little graphical issues that 10 had that you didn't really see updated and fixed until later on after the XL edition had already released. But let's move on from the story to what everyone has a problem with, which is the microtransactions and the crypt. Now, this game is absolutely loaded with different customization and unlockables via the crypt, which is kind of a staple in MK at this point. But here's my take on this, is that none of it affects the game. You do not need to fight as a golden noob Cybot or glittery disco colored Frost. You don't need it to be able to play and enjoy the game. Does it look nice? Sure. Does it improve your way of fighting? Absolutely not. I think if anything, the only criticism that I would honestly have with the crypt is that some of the fatalities and brutalities are hidden in it. But if you have a main character that you like to play as, just look it up online. It doesn't unlock on your pause screen or your combat selection, but I mean, if you know it by heart, you know it. I mean, back in the day, that's what you had to do. You just had to remember the combos or just write them down. Hell, I have a post-it note right here in front of me that has all the fatalities and brutalities for the characters that I just didn't find in the crypt. Although the crypt is very, very fun to explore, and a lot of jump scares in it that freak you out, but the crypt itself tells a pretty good story. I seen a guy online the other day explain to me that the crypt storyline with Shang Tsung is better than the actual storyline of Mortal Kombat 11. I'll leave that one up for a debate. Maybe we'll do a video later on explaining which crypt storyline was better. So a lot of people have had issues with that, saying that NetherRealm Studios is forcing microtransactions to currency, which there's multiple different currencies that you can earn for the game. It's very far and few between actually getting them. You have to play pretty consistently, which I guess for us isn't too much of a issue. But nevertheless, a lot of people seem to have some gripes about not being able to play as a certain colored character because they just aren't finding it in the crypt. Stop crying. It does not affect the gameplay. You having a pink noob Cybot's not going to help you from getting absolutely bodied online and in the actual game. Which, speaking of getting bodied, the other complaint that people had for the game was that the difficulty curve in the towers was ridiculous. We played it night 1 and got absolutely destroyed three fights into one of the basic towers. The difficulty curve spikes so heavily, becomes almost impossible to actually beat any of them, especially with the different modifiers that they have on, constantly being frozen. There's nothing more upsetting. You'll probably see it in some of the gameplay on screen than the tower where you have to fight Frost, and she has both Cyrax and Sector with them, who you cannot block anything that they do. So the one thing we will say though, and I will give credit to NetherRealm Studios, they have been very vocal about their issues with the game's crypt, the currency, the level of difficulties. I mean, Dark Souls lingo, get good at it. But they have fixed it. They kind of gave a bit of an update out not too long ago, which increased your rate of getting the currency needed to explore the crypt, and also to lower down some of the modifiers and difficulties in the challenge towers, which were admittedly a bit broken. One other thing that I do want to slide in here, I meant to say earlier in the review, is that Mortal Kombat 9 is where this particular story sets off. If this is your first time jumping into MK in a while, you just kind of figured, hey, this one looks goofy as shit, let's play it. Just look up online what the story is. MK9, though, definitely a game I would say go back and revisit. It had great DLC characters like Freddy Krueger and Kratos from God of War. Honestly, I would love to see that on the Nintendo Switch. Actually, maybe we'll see that in an upcoming video that we're doing. Spoiler alerts ahead for that one. So last but not least, let's talk about the slower paced gameplay. Now, MKX was a very rush down heavy game. It was very much so not button mashing, but a lot quicker pace than Mortal Kombat 9 was. This one seems to have found a nice little middle ground with it, though a lot of people complained about a dial-a-combo system that it kind of works on, but it only works on that if that's the way you choose to play it. You are able to customize your characters in this game. So for example, I use Frost. I made my own combination of her special moves and linked them into combos that some people haven't seen before, or it's very rare to run into online, which stops the touch of death combos or helps create them. One or the other, depends on how well you are with the game. Mortal Kombat's a little bit more of a slower paced fighting game than my particular play style is, but I enjoy it. We play this game probably at about 4 nights out of the week. You can catch us on Twitch playing it. All of our gamer tags are on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you'd like to ever jump into a party and catch these combos with us, feel free to send us a message. We'll link up and yeah, do some fatalities and shit. So my overall thoughts on the game, now that I kind of gave a brief overlay of what everyone else is kind of thinking about it, we absolutely love it. We think it's great. Yeah, sometimes the story mode gets a little bit silly. Sometimes the crypt gets a little bit too tedious with going around trying to collect everything, and sometimes not even have enough souls to make it through the rest of the crypt. But in the end, it's a fighting game, and the most important thing about fighting game is the gameplay. And as far as the gameplay goes, we love it. We absolutely love it. It's a bit more slowed down. It's not particularly more versed to my play style, but graphically, it sounds, the blood splattering everywhere, you know, just absolute carnage and mayhem. It's everything a Mortal Kombat game really should be. One final thing that I am going to kind of throw out there is that it is missing a pretty decent chunk of the roster, which does show after about a good couple hours of gameplay with your buddies. You do kind of start to feel the missing reptiles and the missing robots, which were actually in the story and played a pretty big part in the story. You get to see Cyrax and Sector, as I mentioned before. They were even assist allies in Frost's Tower. But yeah, they're not in the game. Maybe we'll see them in future DLC. But unfortunately, you do start to miss your Robo buddies after a while. So let's end this review. I am going to give this a 4 out of 5 beers. I think it is drunk, but just not drunk enough. The ending of the Mortal Kombat 9 story, which laid the groundwork for a soft reboot to one of the best fighting game franchises out there, did a solid job, although at times it did lose what it meant in Mortal Kombat 9 as far as how serious the situation was. It's a lot of very outdated comedic jokes that can really take you out of the core story. As far as the game mechanics and the overall game as a fighting game, it's phenomenal. It's definitely a lot of fun to play. There's multiple variations of the characters that you can go ahead and create yourself, or just play what other people have already built. You can look up a lot of formulas online. It plays very well. We very rarely do we have any instances of lag, input lag, rage quitting has not been a thing, although I did hear that if you rage quit, the person performs a Harakiri, pretty much similar to the older games where the player would kill itself. And my final complaint about this overall great game is Ronda Rousey's absolutely fucking atrocious voice acting. I could probably have done a better job, and I stutter making these videos constantly, and I could still do a better Sonya Blade than Ronda Rousey ever could. If she does hear this, please, by all means, come fight me in Mortal Kombat 11, please. I would love to see that. But yes, 4 out of 5 beers for Mortal Kombat 11. Thank you for joining me on this brutality of a review, and hopefully we get to play some games with you guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought about Mortal Kombat 11. Until then, I have been Redfox from Drunk Gamers. Thank you for joining me, and we will catch these combos next time.